Tilla, we do gotta understand that I was... Oh, shit!
Great, thank you. We move now to the death of a High Point family over the weekend. Police say a man shot his wife and 3 children, then turned the gun on himself. Tonight, we're learning more about the moments after they died.
There's this crazy belief about Hollywood actors that no one talks about publicly. People say when you play evil long enough, when you step into the mind of a killer, a monster, someone broken beyond repair, you have to cleanse yourself, spiritually, mentally. Some actors do rituals, some pray, some refuse certain roles altogether, because they believe the darkness follows you home. Sounds like superstition, right? The kind of thing you laugh off. But cases like this one make you wonder, is that really true? Robert Crayton Jr., a working actor grinding his way up, and for years he kept landing the same types of roles: violent men, unstable characters, people on the edge of snapping. On screen, he played them convincingly. Off screen, he had a wife, 4 children, a seemingly stable life in a quiet North Carolina town. But on January 7th, 2023, something inside Robert didn't stay on screen anymore. His wife shot, his teenage son shot, his young daughter shot, his 10-year-old boy shot. And then Robert turned the weapon on himself. May they all rest in peace. 5 lives gone in one morning. When investigators started digging, they found warning signs stretching back years, mental health crises, police calls, an involuntary commitment just months before. The system knew. His family tried to save him. So what broke, and why did no one stop it before it was too late? Why, and for what? Let's find out. Remember to like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. You're watching Hidden Crime Network.
Hello, my name is Robert Crayton. I was a professional rapper. I'm an actor as well. I also do voiceovers and stand-up comedy. I look forward to working in all aspects of entertainment. And I love the everyday grind of continuing to grow in the entertainment business. I look forward to working with you.
This is the U.S. Open of dirt track racing.
Okay, I don't care what you're saying. We're not gonna enter a race for the money.
Can we just hear what he's got to say?
Look,
Nobody expected that in a quiet neighborhood like High Point, North Carolina, a city built by working-class families, where the furniture industry gave generations steady paychecks and tight-knit communities formed around church cookouts and Little League games, where neighbors knew each other's names and people still waved from their porches, a Hollywood actor would shatter that peace by committing an act so brutal it would leave the entire community asking how something like this could happen here.
Never in anybody's wildest imagination could one imagine in their own neighborhood, a quiet, nice neighborhood, that something of this magnitude could happen. I just can't even imagine.
Robert J. Crayton Jr. had spent 15 years building a career from the ground up. Born on March 29, 1977 in Brooklyn, he faced the harsh realities of prep school racism before finding his voice in entertainment. From opening for BET Comics to his 2004 freestyle on 106 and Park, Robert was a man of many talents: rapper, stand-up, and actor with 80-plus credits like Ant-Man and Young Rock. Back in High Point, his life looked just as solid. Athalia, his wife, a Jamaican immigrant who served as a U.S. Army sergeant and heavy equipment mechanic before becoming an entrepreneur and psychology student. They had a full house, their adult son, whose name has been kept private, 18-year-old Kasim, 16-year-old Nyla, and 10-year-old Nasir. From the outside, it was the American dream, a legacy stretching from the shores of Jamaica to the halls of NCA&T. The kids thriving, Instagram full of family dinners, graduations, birthday posts, the kind of life that blends into the background because it looks so stable. And on the morning of January 7th, 2023, just after 7 a.m., his adult son and his partner came running out of that house barefoot, sprinting through the neighborhood, pounding on doors, screaming for help. Neighbors open their doors, confused. It's barely dawn. The young man is shaking, barely able to speak, and then he tells them his father is just shooting everyone inside the house, his stepmother, his siblings, everyone. It made no sense at that point.
He was in front of my house saying someone tried to kill them.
Chilling 911 calls rang in from neighbors who tried to help the two adults that were able to escape the home.
3 911 calls flood in within minutes, panic spreading house to house. Police race to Mossy Meadow Drive. Cruisers, ambulances, a quiet street suddenly swarmed with flashing lights. They approach the house, doors unlocked. They step inside. Athalia Crayton, gunned down. 18-year-old Kasim, gone. 16-year-old Nyla, gone. 10-year-old Nasir, just 10 years old, gone. And Robert? Found in another room, weapon nearby. He'd taken his own life. 5 people, 1 family, all dead before sunrise. No forced entry, no intruder, no random attack, just a father and the unthinkable.
High Point police said 45-year-old Robert Crayton shot and killed his wife and 3 of his children before turning the gun on himself. Now, we just learned that the 18-year-old and 16-year-old that died went to Ragsdale High School. The 10-year-old went to Union Hill Elementary. This tragedy is rippling through the entire community.
Detectives arrive. Crime scene tape goes up. Neighbors standing outside in shock, trying to process what just happened on their street. And the question driving everything forward: who exactly was Robert Crayton, and how did no one see this coming?
That you're gonna get your bearings and you're gonna hit the ground running. I'm gonna introduce you to all the people that you're gonna be working with on a daily basis. If you stick with the program, you are gonna be set for life. Can you give me a second? Okay.
By mid-morning, the entire block is sealed off. Investigators moving in and out of the house, forensics collecting evidence. The Guilford County Sheriff's Office holds a press conference. They confirm what neighbors already knew: 5 people dead, all family members, the father, the suspect. But they don't have answers yet, just questions. What triggered this? Was there a fight, an argument, or had this been building for longer than anyone realized?
In my 27, pushing to 28 years at this police department, we never had anything like this happen before.
Detectives start pulling records, phone logs, text messages, security footage. They interview the adult son who escaped, trying to understand what he witnessed in those final moments. They talk to neighbors. Did anyone hear anything, see warning signs? And then something surfaces. Police records, multiple calls to this address dating back years, and a name that keeps appearing in the reports: Robert Crayton. This wasn't the first time law enforcement had been involved with this family. So the question wasn't just who Robert was, it was what had been going on inside that house, and why didn't anyone stop it before it was too late?
Look, man, what I'm saying is the top 10 earners, they're in the big race automatically. The rest of them got to qualify the race. And your boy, he can drive.
Robert Crayton didn't come from Hollywood money, he came from the grind. He started acting later than most. No conservatory training, no family connections opening doors, just auditions, hundreds of them, callbacks that went nowhere, roles that barely covered gas money. But Robert kept showing up. And slowly, painfully slowly, he started booking work. Small roles at first, background, one-liners, the kind of parts that don't get you recognized but keep your SAG card active. Then bigger opportunities started coming. Robert posted about every win, every premiere, every time his face showed up on screen, proud, grateful, living the dream he'd spent years chasing.
From the outside, it looked like he'd figured it out, but investigators pulling his records found something that told a very different story. Those police reports they found, they weren't minor noise complaints. 2014, domestic argument, officers called to separate Robert and Athalia. 2017, another call, Robert reportedly smashing objects in the home, kids present. 2019, neighbors report shouting, erratic behavior. And then there were the medical records, a diagnosis, bipolar disorder, mood swings, depressive episodes, manic phases where he couldn't sleep for days. And in January 2022, just over a year before the killings, something happened that forced the system to intervene. Robert was involuntarily committed to a mental health facility.
Police believe Crayton suffered from a mental illness. Officers responded to this address 5 other times since 2014. The most recent call to the home prior to this past weekend was back in January of 2022 when officers served an involuntary mental commitment order on Crayton.
Involuntarily committed. That's not something that happens easily. It requires evidence that someone is a threat to themselves or others, documentation, medical evaluation. Robert met that threshold. He spent time in the facility, got treatment, was eventually released. And when he came home, Athalia was still there. Athalia Crayton, 46 years old, Army veteran who'd served her country with honor. She'd built her own business from the ground up, was working toward a psychology degree because she wanted to help people struggling with mental health. She didn't walk away when Robert started unraveling. She stayed. She fought for him. The kids saw it too, watched their mother try to hold the family together while their father spiraled. Kasim, 18 years old, already thinking like an entrepreneur, building something of his own, the kind of kid who had a future. Nyla, 16, talented artist. Her drawings, her creativity, she had the kind of gift that doesn't come around often. Nasir, 10 years old, still in elementary school, still at the age where he believed his dad could do anything. They all loved Robert, supported him, posted about him online, showed up for him even when he was at his lowest. But Robert's condition didn't stabilize. The mood swings continued, the depressive episodes, the manic phases. And somewhere along the way, something broke that couldn't be fixed. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or trapped in a cycle that feels impossible to escape, please reach out. Share this story, because Athalia and her children deserved better. They deserved a system that worked. Hit that like button and share this video to honor their memory and spread awareness. By January 7th, 2023, Robert wasn't just struggling anymore. He was beyond saving. And the people who loved him most, they became the ones who paid the price.
This is clearly an impactful case, an incident for our city and for our police department.
Detectives kept digging, and the more they uncovered, the more one question haunted the investigation. What happened after Robert was released from that mental health facility in 2022? He'd been involuntarily committed, diagnosed, treated, and then what? Where was the follow-up care, the mandatory check-ins, the safety net designed to prevent exactly this kind of tragedy? Investigators found gaps, big ones. Robert had been released, but there's no evidence of consistent mental health treatment afterward, no court-ordered monitoring, no system in place to ensure he stayed on medication or attended therapy. He'd been flagged as a danger, the system knew, and then the system let him go. Autopsy results confirmed what police already suspected. Robert had killed his family in the early morning hours of January 7th, then taken his own life shortly after. The timeline was clear, the motive still murky, but one thing wasn't up for debate. Robert Crayton had been crying out for help for years. His family had tried. The police had been called multiple times. He'd been committed, and still, somehow, he slipped through every crack. The system knew Robert was dangerous. They documented it, treated him, released him. But the question investigators and the entire High Point community kept asking wasn't about blame. It was simpler than that. Did the system do enough? Could this have been prevented? Or did everyone just assume someone else was handling it?
I've expressed this to the family, as we may never know why. What goes through the hearts and minds of a person that would do this sometimes dies with them, but we don't have any indication right now as to the why.
Here's what's supposed to happen when someone is involuntarily committed for a mental health crisis. They get evaluated, stabilized, treated. And when they're released, there's supposed to be a plan, follow-up appointments, medication monitoring, check-ins to make sure they're not slipping back into crisis. That's the system. That's how it's designed. But here's what actually happens far too often. People get released, and then nothing. No mandatory follow-up, no one tracking whether they're taking their medication, no safety net if they start showing warning signs again. In Robert's case, investigators found exactly that, gaps. He'd been committed in January 2022, got treatment, was released, but after that, the trail goes cold. No evidence of consistent psychiatric care, no court-ordered monitoring, no system ensuring he stayed stable. And it's not just Robert, it's a nationwide problem. Mental health facilities are underfunded, overworked, operating on razor-thin budgets with staff shortages and no resources for long-term care. People slip through the cracks every single day. Robert had been flagged, multiple police calls over nearly a decade, a bipolar diagnosis, an involuntary commitment. The system had every opportunity to intervene. But opportunity doesn't mean action, and by the time January 7th, 2023 came around, it was too late for intervention. The damage was already done. High Point is a small community, the kind of place where tragedies like this don't just affect one family, they ripple through everyone. Vigils were held, candles lit, neighbors who'd never met the Craytons showed up to mourn. People left flowers outside the house, teddy bears for Nasir, notes for Athalia. The school Nyla and Nasir attended held memorials. Teachers cried. Students struggled to process how someone's entire family could just disappear. And the question everyone kept asking over and over was the same one investigators were asking. Could this have been stopped? Because if the answer is yes, then this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a failure. And failures demand accountability.
So what do we learn from this? That success, hard work, and chasing your dreams mean nothing if you destroy yourself and the people who love you trying to keep it. Robert Crayton spent his life in the grind, but in the process of building a career, he lost his way. He didn't pay enough attention to the darkness growing inside him, and by the time the system intervened, it was already too late. Robert needed real, long-term help, but involuntary commitment isn't a cure, it's just a temporary pause. When the system lets go before someone reaches the shore, they fall right back into the depths. His family tried, Athalia fought for him, the kids supported him, but love isn't enough when the system walks away, and no family should have to be the only lifeline. The hard truth is this: success is hollow if you aren't healthy enough to live it, and no amount of fame or glory is worth a life. Check on yourself, check on your people. Don't let the grind blind you to the warning signs. If this story moved you, made you think, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next case. Drop a comment below. How can we better support mental health in our communities? This is Hidden Crime Network, and you can click on one of the cards for more important cases. Thank you, and see you soon.